La 1, la 5 et la 3.
Ja, na jó van. Na sziasztok, srácok! Na sziasztok, srácok! Nagyon szépen... Amit, hogy... nagyon szép estét kívánok. Mindenkinek, hát akkor folytassuk a Biathlon világkupát, ugye? Ugye Nové Město, még egyszer a hála. A hétvége, ugye? Úgyhogy Nové Město. Nové Městóba jár ugye megint a mezőny, úgyhogy jön akkor a férfi 10 km-es sprintversenynek a lejátszása, ugye. Ja. Üdvözlöm a két nézőt, ugye? Na hát akkor ugye... Annyit kell tudni, hogy ugye most ugye a Covid miatt, amit úgymond a vírushelyzet miatt ugye itt is ugye dupla hétvégét rendeznek. Először ugye a nők kezdik a hétvégét, most ugye a férfiak kezdik, és ezen a hétvégén kívül még egy darab hét lesz, egy darab világkupa helyszín lesz még, ugye Östersund, ami ugye általában nem záró hétvégénként szokott szerepelni, hanem ugye szezonnyitóként. De most ugye a vírushelyzet miatt most ez így alakult. Közben akkor meg is nézzük, hogy kik indulnak. Ugye 105-en fognak rajtolni, amint ugye abból most hát csak ugye egy ember ugye, a letverseny, egy versenyző ugye Andrész Rastor Gulyás, aki nem fog elrajtolni ezen a sprintversenyen, és ugye ennek árán ugye nem indultam majd a üldözésesbe se, úgyhogy őt lehet, hogy őt már csak ugye Östersundba fogjuk látni. Ahol csak ugye már csak ugye egyéni számok lesznek, egy üldözéses, meg egy tömegrajtos, meg egy sprint versenyek. Most éppen ugye Zsáklány gyakorol egy-kettőt. De majd mindjárt ugrunk a versenyre majd. tárgyából, vagy te tárgyából, Johannesből. Ugye vezető, még ugye még mindig az összetett világkupát, mert ugye, mert ugye ennek a szakágát is még mindig, úgyhogy... Nem, még ezt a gyakorló lövészetet még megvárjuk, és akkor megyünk a...
Johannes, du knapp nicht, Zeikom. Du nicht!
Nagyon rossz ilyesmilyen köd van, nyálkás idő van, ilyen teljesen ilyen, hát olyasmi, mint ez az ilyen, mint ugye a németországi Oberhof kb. Olyasmi.
Harjo, dazu Fuß.
Legrejtnek az a jellegzetes fegyver, ugye? És ugye ő az, aki számunkra ugye meglepetés, aki ugye harcol ugye Johannesbővel a összetett világkupáért, úgyhogy igen, ez eléggé meglepő és kemény azért, hogy ja. Na jó, na hát akkor lépjünk akkor a igazi replayre. És akkor kezdődjön el a férfi sprint verseny valójában. Na nézzük. Nagyon szép város ez a
Well, a very good afternoon. Welcome back
Město,
to Nové, Město. Week 2 here for the Biathlon World Cup, and the next couple of days will be all about the sprints. Last week it was the women who went first. This week it is the men. Over 10 kilometres. Slightly dank conditions, as you can see. This man trying to avoid missing out on a podium for 3 consecutive sprint events. It's a long time since that happened to Johannes Tingesberg, but he could, if he gets a good race today, he could wrap up the sprint title. Well, last week, Arndt Pfeiffer had another excellent run, getting himself on the podium for the 3rd time this season. He's going well and really enjoying his biathlon this season. Pfeiffer, like all the podium positions, shooting the perfect score. He knows that if he wants a top 3, that's what he's got to do. There's only one man out there who can miss once and score a podium finish at the moment. Seb Samuelsson, not really one of them, although at the beginning of the season he could have done. Nice to see Sweden on top, continuing the form that they showed in the World Championships in Pachuca. Only 2.4 seconds off the win. Samuelsson knew what he was chasing, just didn't quite have it in him to catch Simon Desieux. Well, the Frenchman, 7 times on the podium without a win. Last week, he put that right. Only Simon Fourcade has had more. 9 podium finishes without getting a win. Desieux delighted, but he still said the silver medal at the World Championships was worth more than his first World Cup win. So that's the scene set for today's race. Mike, another big field for the men's sprint. A long affair, and again, all the favourites cramming themselves into Group 1.
Well, they are. That surprised me, Patrick, a little, because last night a real heavy snowfall occurred. They woke up to a lot of new snow falling all around, but then it started pouring down during the later part of the morning and afternoon, but now it's stopped raining, stopped snowing, and it's beginning to ice over just a little.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting conditions indeed. Have those who've got a late start number, will they have an advantage? We'll find out as the race goes on. We get underway in just over 6 minutes' time.
André, van-e vetsz, vagy 43-as, vagy? És itt van az a 3x3,3 kilométeres kör, amit majd ugye megtesznek a férfiak, ugye. És ugye esik is az eső, ugye. Hát igazából 0 fok van, a szél az egy ilyen 4 és 3 kilométer közt akadozik. Itt van Gonát, itt pedig ugye Johannesbe, aki készüldik. Nagyon. Jakobs Trvečky, der debut. Loginov Elisébű, Fak, Bejfer. Bizúsnyankra még lehet, hogy számítani. Leszhet kell megnézni, és Jacques filmáit. Még rá is tudja figyelni. Hát Vind is nem. Leitnerő, oké. Legreid ugye. Éder. Desztyű, Dovzán is most már. Christiansen, Véger, akire kell figyelni ugye. Latipov. Fabian Kraut, Roman Riesre.
Welcome back to Nové Město in the Czech Republic, second week of Biathlon World Cup action. Here, Mike, here's the course for the men's sprint this afternoon.
Have a look at yellow, all the undulations. It's a track really that keeps the field tight. 24 athletes last weekend within the first minute. It's still tough at 342 meters total climb, but those undulations allow the recovery and allow the field, the less fast skiers to hang on in there with all these little sections of recovery.
Well, here's the start sheet, and just have a look at the big names going early. Tarja Bø, Loginov, Johannes Tingesbø, then we've got Arm Pfeiffer all going in the first seven. Emilia Jacquelin gets a Group 1 start as well, as does Canton Fillon-Maillet, two very, very tough Frenchmen to beat. They need to shoot well today if they're going to beat Detieu, who looks to be on great form. Lightgrid going 25, Mike, and a slightly later start for Dale. So those are two Norwegians looking to challenge Johannes Tingis in the sprint standings this year, but they've got to do something spectacular and hope that Johannes misses 3 or 4.
Well, certainly last weekend in the pursuit competition, Johannes looked, to me, he got his old rifle back, he looked much more confident. Shaky start when he missed 2 in the prone, then he hit the next 15. He looked much more solid on his rifle.
Yeah, 11th to 2nd for Johannes last week, finishing just behind his brother. Those two have had a fabulous season. 69 is Anthony Keegan. Not quite sure, but if he's going well and he can stay the distance, then I think he might challenge for a top 5. Stromsheim made a big impression in his first World Cup last week.
Almost like Lightgrid last year. Lightgrid last year, first World Cup here, he came 13th, and well, it was the same with Stromsheim. He'll be looking for better. No, he got 12th, sorry, last week. He'll be looking for better today.
Emilian Cloud goes 93, one of the later starters who might be able to keep the race alive, but I think he's going to rely on some very, very quick conditions. Hopefully it will ice up for him and they'll have a rapid round of the 3.3 kilometre loop. Jacquelin, Mike, seems to have put those 2 poor prone shoots, no, 2 abysmal prone shoots behind him.
Incredible, isn't it? The first day here last week, 5 targets, 8 shots in the relay prone. He only hit 1 target. It was quite amazing. But thankfully his sprint and the pursuit were much, much better.
Now what can this man do? Certainly hasn't been as dominant this year, still stuck on 51 World Cup wins. He's only had, what, 3 wins this season? That's extraordinary, Mike. Still the 3rd most successful ever in terms of individual wins on 51. But Bjorn Dahlen on 94, Martin Fourcade on 79. At the rate he's gone this year, it's going to be 10, 11 seasons till he catches them. So off to the start, and Jakob Strecki has drawn bib number 1, 22-year-old, so not hugely experienced, but he's had a couple of top 20 results. 16th his best, in front of what would have been a home crowd. You wouldn't put your money on him shooting perfectly, but with the stands empty, Mike, and he knows these tracks better than most, he could produce a PB.
I would like to see that. It didn't work last week for the men nor the women in the Czech Republic team. Hopefully they're settled this week.
Fifth in the sprint, first in the pursuit for Taribo last week. He looked delighted with the way things had gone. Is he quick enough to win a sprint? Well, he missed once last week and he still finished only 10 seconds off. So a 0-0 might be good enough to make it 2 successive wins. And wouldn't that be amazing, Mike, when you consider he won his first overall World Cup back in 2011?
I would love to see him win again, and this is a real successful season. Third overall, you mentioned, and what, 2 wins and 5 podiums in total for Loginov.
1 win for Loginov this season, and that was in Antolz in the individual, shot the perfect score. Excellent performance from Loginov, and then by his standards, a really poor World Championships. 26th in the sprint, 16th in the pursuits, 31st in the individual, and Alisiev will be hoping to do better than that.
He didn't show much magic last week, did he? Really, by his high standards, 34th in this race and then dropping back to 24th, but only missing 2 in the pursuit competition. His ski speed has deserted him.
And he will be followed out by Johannes Tingesbø, starting exactly a minute and a half behind his brother. And as we mentioned, way off the mark in the sprint last week. 11th place, his worst finish. And slightly different rules on the World Cup scores this year. 10 sprints, 3 of them taken away at the end of the season. So to score any points at all today, Mike, he's got to finish in the top 5.
Oh, and so often he does, and I really feel that he just looks so much more comfortable with his old rifle back on his back. And I think you sold him short. He's actually had 4 wins this year, not 3. What's happened to your maths? I did think, honestly, I thought Johannes would win maybe 12, 15 in races this season, but he is very light on 4 victories.
You're absolutely right. He has had 4, and our stats showing he's had 51 wins. He must have had 52 then. So everyone's got it slightly skew. I remember when Bjorndalen got up into the 90s, no one quite knew how many he'd won. Should we include the cross-country World Cup as well? Now, Arne Pfeiffer, what a season he's had, and you know, absolutely delighted with the way things have gone. Generally gets what, 3 podiums a year, Mike? That goes down as a good season. This season, well, he'd had 2 podiums, 3 podiums by halfway through the season, and he's had a couple in the last 2 weeks as well. So he's up to 5, and certainly looking good.
Yes, he is, and the stability that we see from Arne Pfeiffer every time on the, nearly every time on the range, it gives you a lot of comfort knowing that he's going to get most of his targets.
Magaziev for Moldova, 32. Pfeiffer, remember, at 33. So there are plenty of men older than him out there. Johannes Tinges, we always used to talk about how young he was, but he's now 27. Really should be in his prime, Mike. But when you start racing as young as he did, and he was, you know, in the World Cup as a teenager, do you think that shortens your sporting career when you start so young and race so hard early?
I really think it does, and although he's a super talent, as they said, when he won all his titles at junior championships, and he looked very comfortable at World Cup. So Johannes maybe is an exception, but for him to lose his way this season with his 4 wins when he's only over 10, he's got to think again, do I maybe back off on so much of the hard training in the summer?
Tero Sapala of Finland, 37th in the World Cup rankings. That was pretty standard actually for his World Championship performances, generally in the 30s all the time, consistently so. And if there's one weakness, it is that last shoot. Always misses 2 or 3 on his last shoot. Pfeiffer, on the other hand, is one of the best when it comes to the last 5 in the standing position.
Just looking at the snow there, Patrick, and yes, I think, who am I to question the coaches? It does look like it's soft already, and the tracks are only going to go one way with the fog here. They're going to remain soft and probably getting softer and slower.
Karolski.
Lithuania. and shooting okay, but to get a top 60 and qualify for the pursuit, he has to shoot 0-0. He knows that pressure. He's had 1-0-0-1 a few times this season, has not had the 0-0. We'll see if he can do it today. Jacquelin starting 16, as you can see. Kobanuki for Japan. Mike, with teams like the French and the Germans and of course the Norwegians, how much weight is put on being the top athlete in the team? Phil Maillet leading as far as the French go. Will Jacquelin be giving it everything to catch him in the World Cup, or is he really trying to just chase down the Norwegians?
I think he's trying to chase the Norwegians, but you know, looking at last week, we had 4 of the Frenchmen in the top 13 in this race, and 4 Norwegians also in the top 13. So they really are, the French are focused on the Norwegians, and Germany and Leicester, I thought last weekend, much improved. The pressure of the World Championships seemed to flatten them, flatten their ability to feel freedom on the skis and hitting the targets.
Yeah, always strange. We always consider whether a team's been training too hard, and then their form comes maybe 3 or 4 days post the World Championships. We've seen that mistake made on many an occasion, and I was just wondering whether that was what had happened with the German team. Smolsky from Minsk, racing for Belarus, of course, and certainly capable of a top 20, maybe even top 15 should he hit the 0-0. Now, Jacquelin looks fairly fired up again, Mike.
He does, and we saw much improved biathlon in the sprint and the pursuit competition. The relay was horrible. What a horrible day to go round the penalty loop 4 times in a relay when you've got those 8 rounds, 5 in your magazine, 3 spare. So hopefully that's in the past, and he won't let them down in the relay again like he did last week.
Yeah, tough times, finishing in the relay last week. Won, of course, by Germany. What was that? Their first win in 22 World Cup relays. Now, this is Theriault, who won the pursuit last week. Oh, smack in the middle. Good sign, through the same hole. Dropping a little lower each time, but safely inside. That was a good 0. Mike, no reaction from Mazet, really?
No, I do wonder if Mazet might get the message out there just before Johannes comes in. Just be aware your brother shot a little low. I wonder if they'll give him that advice, because those shots were definitely low in the golf ball sized prone target.
Not sure whether we'll get to see where Loganov's shots fall. 15 seconds given away to Theriault on the first lap. Great shoot. Great shoot. I don't think he's going to have gained much with that, because he spent quite a long time preparing, Mike, but once the first one was down, he was away. Now, Johannes Tingis, the first and the fourth seem to be the targets that have tripped him up of late.
Look at the huge lifter there on the foresight, and of course you have to increase the height of the rear sight to equal out back to his old ways. He should have lifted the sights.
Can you believe that? And he's lucky with number 5, to be honest. It's just not happening for him, Mike. Time and time again, you feel the confidence has gone. All that little bit of wriggling and shifting, there weren't really any positive movements as he set the position. Wondering whether that was an issue there.
They were certainly low, and I'm just wondering, when Theriault, when 4 of his 5 shots were low in that golf ball sized target, that's a slight change from when there was more daylight, when they zeroed an hour ago.
Yeah, they had about 20 seconds to get the news to Johannes Dinges before he got into the range, but if any team can do it, the Norwegians can. Jakob Falk, very solid performance from him, 9th in the sprint last week, shooting 0-0, lost roughly 10 seconds on each loop. So out comes Johannes Dinges, and he's going to be a long, long way down the leaderboard after the first shoot.
Umpire for 16 seconds off Johannes Tingesbø's time, but only 6 seconds of Terje Bø's time in second place. Confidence. You just have so much confidence in his ability to keep that rifle so steady.
Second position, 7 seconds of Terje Bø.
Back to the start. Number 24, as you can see, Artem Tishenko. Stølholm Leidring is next, and then Simon Eder, who has amazingly been the best Austrian on the tour this year, and most of that on the back of some excellent shooting.
Just looking at Tishenko starting now, he's not the fastest skier, and he hasn't done all the races, but from his 90 shots fired in individual races, he's only
az
missed 4.
összes világkupára esélyes Stølholm Legrade. Aki, hogyha megvan így van, ez az nagyon nagy királyság és zsenialitás lenne.
He's, what, 160 points clear of Terje Bø in 3rd place. But not so far adrift of Johannes Dinges. So if Johannes Dinges is outside the top 10 again and Leidring should win this one, we're going to have to do some serious mathematics, Mike, to work out what might happen in the last 4 races of the year, including this one. 5 races to go, 60 points for each. So 300 points in all. But as I'm sure you've heard, 4 of your worst results taken away. Away goes Eder, shooting brilliantly, Mike, consistent all the way through the season. Not quite as quick as he was in his heyday in terms of the shooting, but much more accurate.
Yes, and I think Rico Gross analysing when Rico was this season and the season before made that change to slow him down a little, and it really has increased the percentage.
Powerful start from Thierry Langer. I guess the conditions, Mike, under the floodlights, little tricky compared to the daylight, which they've been racing in all the way through the season. And,
I mean, yes, they've got super light power, but it's not the same as natural when you're looking through your sights in natural sunshine or daylight. Stegmaier, he suffered in the relay last week. He really didn't. He came into the team by something of a surprise because Nellen, I think it was unwell, but it really looked panicked and unstable. His individual result the next day was better.
Yeah, would you predict that the shooting results on the whole worse under floodlights than in daylight?
Marginally, but when you're not used to it, then you come back into it. We have seen in previous seasons a good number of races when it's darkness and under the floodlights. You do get quickly used to it. And you do need, I think, to open the rear aperture, get more light inside the rear sight, and then possibly increase the width of the foresight as well.
Nice group from Lesser. Yeah, that's great shooting. Again, just a fraction low, although that camera angle does make it look a little bit lower than it actually is. No real wind to worry about, Mike. If they had the wind that they've got on the west coast of Scotland at the moment, I tell you, you'd be aiming at target 1 and hitting target 5 if you were lucky. It is that strong.
I was amazed to do 10 kilometers in what, nearly 70, just under 17 minutes earlier with the wind assist. Jacqueline, it's looking good. 4th fastest into the range. Only 6 seconds of Terje Bø, 16 off Johannes Tingesbø. Well, his right elbow doesn't slip out anymore. In previous races, 2-3 attempts, he'd have to rebuild that right elbow placement. It was slipping out, so you muscle when the elbow slips out. None of that today, and the perfect zero.
Tálébőnek a másik részete.
But trying to make it 10 out of 10. 0-1 last week. I think this is exactly what happened last week, Mike, but this time it goes down, so he's got the clear sheet, and he'll probably be as excited about his start in the pursuit as he is about his performance today, because he knows there are plenty of men out there that if they shoot 0-0, they'll overtake him. But getting a good start in the pursuit in the top 10, Mike, gives him a real chance.
I think Tarje Bo is now thinking his mind will be doing all the maths. I was 10 seconds behind last week and I missed one. He's clear today, and he's an early starter. I think Tarje will be chasing for that another first position.
Well, this man missed 2 last week and was still only 26 seconds off. So, Mike, the general standard, pretty good so far. Looking at those who've been through shoot number 1, top 10 are all clear. 11 of 18 have hit the perfect score. The only person, the only athlete to miss 2 is the world's best. What's going on?
It's quite incredible. It's still a ripple effect from his lack of confidence. He lost his confidence at the World Championships. Rebuilding a rifle before the championships is always a risk, and it was a completely new rifle setup. He's got rid of that now, but he still hasn't entirely got his confidence back.
Alisiev will be full of confidence after that. 10 out of 10 for him. So very early days. Only 3 athletes through the second shoot, and 2 of them have hit the perfect score. This man has no chance, but 5 out of 5 puts him in the running for a top 10.
Very stable.
Lovely shoot.
Beautiful.
Lovely shoot. That's what we're used to seeing from him. And that's going to claw back some of the difference, Mike. Effectively, he's got 1 penalty loop over everyone else. So he'll probably end up something like 25 seconds behind. Jakub Fak had a chance. That's a shame. He hit 0-0 last week. 0-1 this time round. And that is likely to push him somewhere between 15th and 20th today. Where's your money on this?
He's just so stable. I'll go for 0. I should have said the one that my instinct said. But I love his composure. His body balance is great. Engelbert Scrolz will be surprised at that, because the balance, the whole management of his position was great. I think he just snatched that shot he missed.
Yeah, he looks like a statue, doesn't he, when he's there in the stand position on Pfeiffer. Very, very solid. This is a big moment for Leigrid. He will probably know what's going on with Johannes Tingesbø and know that now is a chance to steal a few more points off the world number 1. 4th and 5th last weekend for Leigrid. The World Championships he had, winning the individual, winning the mass start.
So fast to the first shot, 13.7 seconds. It's incredible. And always so accurate.
Well, he was only 1.1 behind Tarje Bo coming in. A ski race between those two, Mike, would be interesting. Leigrid tends to tire just a little bit on the last lap. He's got a lead of 1 second, but he still has to clear the 5 in the stand.
Widocznie.
Grishny, the same as last week. I think he shot exactly 1-1. He had a much better, sorry, it was 1-0 last weekend. He got all 5 in the stand. He showed good shooting in the pursuit competition. I thought he may get the perfect 0-0 today.
Benedetto.
Benedetto pushing the pace on the first lap. No one, as you can see, getting close to the 9 seconds to Tariabo, apart from Benedetto. So 8.6 and a 6th place last week with a 0-1. Had he gone clear, he would have been knocking on the door of Simon Dessieux.
Just looking at on the last lap, the Bö brothers said, strangely, Johannes Tingis has lost 1 second to his inspired older brother, up to 7.5 kilometers from the range to 7.5.
Yeah, I sort of suspect that's going to come back his way. How many times, Mike, have we seen even the big names shooting clear and going absolutely 100% over the first kilometre out of the range, only to lose time later?
Yes, tying up, but Tariabo will be thinking this is the real potential. My big chance again for another win. Moravec, a gentle start there from Moravec, the local hero. Hopefully he can get himself up into the top 10 today. When Eric's on form, his timing is great. We normally look around 1.8 seconds between shots, but he's slower today. Hesitant.
It's a shame for Jake Brown. I've been impressed with what he's done over the last couple of months now. Tariabo really is still fighting it. An impressive finish from an early start. He's 32 years old, and his fans and many friends in Lillehammer, where he bases himself, will be egging him on now. Another 100 meters to go or so for Tariabo, and he's had some great results in this stadium. Is he going to win 2 in a row and make it 4 wins for the season? 22.18 the target time, 22.58 the winning time last week. Jacqueline looking good, Mike.
Very sharp. All the confidence is back. Rapid fire, a little as he did in the pursuit competition, the gold medal performance at the World Championships. Fearless and fast. On.
Watch the clock. He's still inside, just by a couple of seconds. Yeah, Tariabo is out at 15.46, and Jacqueline just 2 seconds to make up. There is no one who fights harder and sprints better than him when it comes to a last lap race. So I suspect that is going to be tight. Logging off on plus 11. Just looking at Johannes Tingesbø, Mike, still losing time to his brother, only fractions of seconds, but he is not quicker than his elder brother at the moment in the on the last lap.
Yes, I think Johannes Tinges, that incredible first lap, taking 10 seconds off his brother. It's now at the end of the season, it's tired, and his legs are pained right now. Loganov, for me, much better on the range. The reaction timing great, back to where he was when he won the world title last year in the sprint competition.
13 seconds for the first shot. Jacqueline, the quickest in the stand at the moment, at 18.4. Well, that's not too bad. At 23.2, and the time is good. So that's going to be a wonderful time. Could be a French victory coming up today. Johannes Tingesbø, as you said, Mike, looking slightly tired. The timing not quite as good and crisp as it usually is. 26 seconds was the margin between the two brothers when we last saw them out on the clock. And Johannes Tingis clawing back again, just fractions of a second to make it 25.7. And he will not stay in second place. Christensen looked great, clear again. Drone shooting, he's just out onto his second try. When you look at Fio Maillet's time when he exited his stand shooting, he's got 11.3 seconds ahead of Tariabo, looking like a great day for Fio Maillet. better skiing from Fack this week, but not quite as quick as he was, not quite as quick in the range as he was last week, or as accurate as we watch Pfeiffer into the finish now. Third place in the sprint last week with a time of 23:02, and he's not even going to match Johannes Dingesbø, who's missed one more target than he has. It's going to be quite a big deficit, and especially when Quentin Fillon-Maillet comes in for France, who is likely to be between 10 and 15 seconds quicker than the current leading time of 22:18.
Well, Vindish needed all 5 there. I looked at him prior to the race. I looked at his season. He hasn't had a great season, but that looked much better from Vindish had it not been for the last shot missed.
Karnikov, one of few athletes to have hit 20 out of 20 in the pursuit last week. Can he make it 30 in a row? No.
Interestingly, Rasmussen had number 29, but the Biathlon integrity unit have not allowed him to start because he's had 3 failed whereabouts in the last year. You have to give your location, and 3 times he's failed for testing.
Good. Only 3.4 outside Fillon-Maillet. Would expect the Frenchman to be a little bit quicker on the roll. If he misses, that will be irrelevant. So a little advantage swinging the way of Johannes Dingesbø in terms of the overall World Cup, Mike. That's a rare miss from Ligrid at a crucial stage.
Ligrid has the advantage, though. Johannes Dinges is 25 seconds behind his older brother, and Ligrid will be hunting that time down. He may go out ahead, actually, of Johannes' time ahead as he exits the penalty loop.
Yeah, I suspect that Johannes Dingesbø's score today will not count, because remember, he has to finish 5th or better than 5th, the top 4, to improve his World Cup score in terms of the sprints. Simonader, what are we going to see? There's a slight intake of breath as he lets it go, Mike.
Yes, sometimes, certainly in prone, as you exhale, the rifle comes through. He's built that into his stand routines as well. What incredible shooting. We've never seen better statistics in the men's field than we're seeing now with Simonader this season.
Now, Germany, who have started to turn things around. Winning the men's relay was the most important race of their season last week.
Fabien Claude.
Fabien Claude. Now, the French looking very, very solid after the second shoot. They got Fillon-Maillet leading. He'll be into the finish fairly shortly. Jacquelin, who started 16, in 3rd place.
Interesting, the 3 Claude brothers in the race today. Of course, Fabien racing for Belgium. Patrick Favre just sending the good news around the tracks to keep the coaches' spirits up, or the supporters around the track.
Yeah, Lesser take 25 seconds off that time. It would have been very respectable indeed for Eric Lesser, but he's going to have a bit of chasing to do when it comes to the pursuit on Saturday. Mass start on Sunday. Now, Emilien Jacquelin, he's looking tired, Mike. He's looking absolutely shot. Normally, as we mentioned, he produces the best last lap of anyone, but he has not been able to match Tadej Bo. He started just 2 seconds behind the Norwegian. He ends up losing a full 9 seconds to Tadej Bo of that last 3.3.
Oh, very surprised. He was very slow to get his ski poles on, I thought, so the mind, the spirit, the rush wasn't there. And certainly the last 500 meters, he has really suffered on the track.
Yeah, I can tell you that Phil Maillet is going a lot better. So for French fans out there, it's looking pretty good for, certainly for a podium finish today, possibly the win as well. Now, Detieux won this race last week. He won't win this week. Even with a clear shoot, Mike, he would have been struggling.
It's strange how Biathlon works, operates. His first ever win last week. I thought maybe that would open the floodgates, but not missing two.
So Phil Maillet dropped from a lead of 11.5 seconds over Tadej Bø to 8. That came back to 11.1 by the time he went 9.2, and he's kept the pace going. It is going to be around 10 seconds for Phil Maillet. Excellent racing, 11.3 the margin. A pump of the fist, too early to know if he's won this one, but I think he'll be fairly confident that he's got himself a top 3, because all the big names going off in the first 30, and if we go back to the second shoot, he still has the best time. Comfortably so by 11.3 seconds.
Lucas Hofer, a different strategy today completely. Normally that first shot goes at 16 or below, and then it's 1.8 in between, so much more calmness in terms of prone shooting, but he seems to have all of his ski speed.
Yeah, but he's given away 9 seconds to the best, or the best performance in the range, Mike. Probably wisely so. He's only 7.2 outside. So Hofer certainly someone who deserves a podium. Here's Christiansen, the number 5 in the Norwegian team. He's had a tough season with Ligrid and Dali doing so well.
And you know, Christiansen, he knows he has to have some good races now with Stromsheim coming through with a 12th place last week. And I think that pressure is, we're seeing it there in his stand shooting. Normally he's so much better than that, Christiansen.
Yeah, Christiansen was down in 45th after the first shoot. 1 place better than Johannes Tingesbø. This is the world champion, Martin Ponsaloma. Even he can't afford a miss in the prone. You know, the standard's so high, Mike, that literally is only one man who can miss a target and still think he's going to win.
I'm with you, but at the end of the season, it releases those who have had not such good seasons, like Benny Dahl, who's going very well right now, the Eric Lesser as well. A lot of the big names are coming into form almost because they can believe again that they can win as the big names are beginning to tire.
Now, Johannes Dali, first man for a while to match the opening lap speed of Ligrid. Ligrid going on to miss in the stand position. Dali, if he wants to win, has to clear the 10. It's low. Still low. Oh, a little bit lucky, low right. And gets that one inside. Mike Allrose worryingly close to the bottom of the target. Won't matter for the stand, but he's got away with it.
It's really interesting. We've seen that from each of the Norwegian athletes. They're getting them down, or Johannes Tingesbø didn't, but most often they're in the low, down at 6 o'clock, around the bottom edge of the target. I would have raced the sights up 3 clicks, 9 mils at least up.
Yeah, 10 seconds given away to Tishenko on that prone shoot by Dali as we have a look at the standings after the first shoot. Ligrid, Tadej Bø, Benny Dahl, the fastest 3. Ligrid, is he going into the top 3? Just missing out, goes 4, 23.4 behind, and he's less than a second off the podium positions. France, Norway, France, Norway, Norway, the top 5 positions at the moment. Simon Ada on the charge for home. Again, it's the ski speed that lets him down. He's still got 150 meters or so to go. Ada, what, should be looking for a top 7, top 8 possibly. fact, they're on 39.8. 9 seconds. Oh, that's going to be close. Top 10. Fantastic work.
It is. He may drop down as Daly and some of the other big names come in. 40 seconds. That's what he needs in terms of ski speed over this 22-minute race. It's not much. The margins are tight.
Yeah, but where's he going to get 40 seconds, Mike?
Difficult. When you're 37, it's difficult.
Look at that. Over 50% of the top 10 positions shooting perfect. Johannes Tingsbø, the only one in the top 10 with 2 misses, and 22.07 looking very, very difficult to beat. Going back to the first shoot, I just can't see anyone who started really late. Lucas Hoffer is certainly someone we need to keep an eye on. He started number 49, and Johannes Daly shot clear. He's 7 seconds. Those two actually fairly tight. So if they have a good second loop and shoot very fast and clear, they might challenge for a top 3. But I think Fiolmaillet can probably start ordering the wine.
It's on hold at the moment, but he's thinking, I'm going to have a good night. And Fiolmaillet, he's such a big name in biathlon, but only 1 win this year. And the podiums-wise, what's he had? He's had 4 podiums, including that victory.
But what a season we've had in terms of the number of winners. You know, the last decade, it's all been about Johannes Tingsbø, Martin Fourcade, Bjorn Dahlen before that, Poiré before that. Well, 10-15 years we've had one or two men dominating the top of the leaderboard in all the races. This season, well, Samuelsson's had a win, Ponsiluoma's had a win from Sweden, the French have had Detieu, Fiolmaillet, of course Jacques Alain, Norwegians. Well, all the top 4 have had wins.
Look at the time there. Claude had a chance, a possibility for a top 3, not anymore, by missing 1 out of 5 standing. And Samuelsson, I thought Samuelsson's looking good. It just depends. I hope we see the track further out. Still plenty big names still to get underway.
Mikuláš Kárlik, ő egy új versenyző a Cseheknél, úgyhogy...
Brought in from his successes at the Junior World Championships. He knows this venue very well.
Simon Detieu, the coach is trying to give him some encouragement, but he won't be able to take those 2 misses out of his mind. It's not going to be a podium finish for Detieu. But top 13 and 56 seconds, the difference at the start of the pursuit on Saturday. The women's sprint tomorrow. Here comes Benny Doll, later starter in terms of the big names, so he knew exactly what he had to chase, and just like Detieu, missing 2 on that stand. I don't think the conditions really changed much, Michael, though the mist is that little bit thicker.
Oh, I'm not sure. Is it going to ice over? That was my other thought. As we're getting later into the evening, what local time coming up 6:10, I thought maybe it may start icing. Benny Doll only, what, 11 seconds slower, shooting the same as Johannes Tingsbø. His ski form is brilliant. I thought he might miss 1 today and a chance for top 3, but he misses 2.
Just like last week, the podium positions at the moment with everyone clear. Johannes Daly, he was one of those who shot 0-2 last week. If you were given the choice, Mike, would you like to shoot 2-0 or 0-2?
It's definitely 2-0. Well, it subdues you. You're so annoyed missing 2 out of 5 first time, but at least your legs are fresh going on to the last lap when you shoot 5 out of 5.
Nice to see Lucas Hoffer clear 5. Oh, that was close. Go on. Yes, lovely shooting. Only 13.6 outside coming in. The difference between the top 3 and the finish is 22.7. And Hoffer coming out hard. Now, this, Mike, is where he's got to control himself. He's still got 3.3 Ks to go. It's all about just getting into the rhythm. Yes, push hard, but do not build the lactic too early on this loop. It's a punishing loop here in Nové Město. Christiansen missing 2 on the last shoot, and take away the 50 seconds, he would have been right up there with the best. That could have been a podium for him. He knows it.
Oh, yes, he got his skiing aspect very, very strong today, Christensen, and such a surprise, missing 2 in the stand. Lukas Hofer, his strategy is so different today. Calm, and more calm on the range. He got all 10. He's normally edgy, he's tense, but now he has to have the ski time of his life if he wants the second ever win.
6th position coming in the second shoot, Mike. He's gone out in 3rd, just a second up on Jacquelin, and the coaches may well be telling him that Jacquelin faded on his last loop. Now Ponsaloma, only 1 win, just happens to have been a world title. That's good, really good. Nice rhythmical shoot. I thought the 4th one was looking as though it was going wide, but he's got them down, limits the damage to 1, and a good pursuit start. We can assure that, Mike. Top 5 is possible if he can find some ski speed over the last loop.
He's just the body language isn't suggesting that he's on his top form. He's still gasping for air. He shot so fast that the body hasn't even had time to recover before the last lap.
Now, Daly and Hofer have not been more than a second and a half apart at any stage. A miss would change that. Frustration, you can see it on his face. The pressure so immense now that the shooting standard's so high. Antonin Giganar, is he going to join his teammates in the top 10? He may well do. Good ski time coming in, Mike. That might suggest that the tracks are starting to get a bit quicker.
Possibly. I'm just looking at Lukas Hofer's time. There's a lot of descent, a lot of ski speed time, up to 7.6 kilometers, and he's lost a huge amount of time to Theriault.
Yeah,
he was 1 second behind. Yeah, now it's 5.
Yeah, 5, and he's 0.1 ahead of Jacquelin. So a real fight for a top 3 from Lukas Hofer. Hofer's had plenty of 4th positions so far this year, has not made the podium. For all his efforts, Mike, he deserves it. And when you think he's only had 1 win in his career, he's been a bit unlucky, hasn't he? But there are plenty of men who've been close, but denied by the top 3 great athletes over the last decade.
Yes, and Lukas Hofer, he's always been so close because he nearly always has 1 or 2 penalties in this race. Today it's clear, and he's chasing the podium.
Now, what are we going to see from the youngster in the Norwegian team? Well, I say youngster, he's not that young, but certainly a newcomer to the team.
I thought what he did last week was exceptional to finish 12th in his first World Cup.
Good, oh, look good, look very good.
Olympic silver medalist Kretschmar, and not look comfortable or looking comfortable last week. Much better today.
Yeah, 39-14 in the pursuit last week. Shot 20 out of 20 in the pursuit. You're never quite sure. It was the other way around in the Olympics, Mike. I think he went from 2nd to 30th, missing, what was it, 6 or 7 targets in the Olympic pursuit. Just wasn't used to the pressure.
Huge pressure. Andre Rybart so much happier this week of racing so far, getting at least 1 athlete top 15, and maybe Kretschmar can survive top 15.
Well, keeping an eye on Lukas Hofer. He's yet to go through 9.2. He must be there in a moment. Ligrid, we know, has just finished in 4th position. Samuelsson with 10 out of 10, 17 seconds behind. He could be looking at a top 3. He will be. That is excellent. Only 2 seconds behind at the moment. And Samuelsson, if he's can find the form that he showed early season, Mike, he could challenge top two possible. 11 seconds between Phil Maillet and Tadej Bø in the finish at the moment. He's 18 down, and he goes into 5th place, but certainly will be hunting the time set by Lukas Hofer. Here is Hofer. 3rd position at the moment. That last kilometre's been good, Mike. He's opened up from 0.1 of a second. He's opened up the margin between himself and Jacquelin by 3.1.
And then Jacquelin, we saw Jacquelin staggering over the last, just surviving to the line over the last 500 meters. So that plays into Lukas Hofer's hands.
Oh, I can see the script. Hofer's going to get 3rd, but Samuelsson is going to deny him at the last minute. That is going to be painful stuff for the Italian. May not be the way it turns out, but Samuelsson we will track over the last 3.3. His teammate Nellin with a good push into the finish, got into 17th place, and at the moment, the best of the Swedes. Now, Hofer. How light does he look on the feet? This is a good fighting performance, Mike. He knows how much it means. The women in the Italian team taking most of the headlines over the last couple of years, particularly Dorothea Viera. Hofer would love to get his share of the column inches, and a top 3 might just do that. Tadej Bø sitting at 11.3. It's 8 seconds or so from here. He's looking at 15. He's going into 3rd. Jacquelin is off the podium, and Lygrid's going down to 5. What a fighting effort from Lukas Hofer. He's got it at the moment. I don't think he wants to know anything about Samuelsson quite yet.
I thought he really twisted his knee as he crossed the line, stretching out, and then the skis just flipped. And anyway, he's not hurt. That's the upside.
Samuelsson not looking quite as light as Hofer was, Mike. He's down to 21 and still some 8 seconds off Hofer's time.
I think Samuelsson a little unlucky. He opted, or his coach and him opted for Group 2. He's the 2nd last starter, booked 59 in Group 2. He could have started 34th. I think the tracks may have been a tiny little bit kinder if he'd started 34th.
Yeah, Jacquelin has, Samuelsson, I should say, has gone from 18 to 21 seconds behind Phil Maillet. And he's lost a fair amount of time to Hofer as well, from 12 to, what is he now? He's, as I mentioned, some 8 seconds behind. Ponsaloma charging for a top 10. If he wants to achieve that, really needs to go into 7th place ahead of Fact. That's not going to happen. Ada on 40 is safe. Pfeiffer on 46, I think, is safe as well. Or is he? It's close. Oh, just misses out on 9th into 10. Johannes Dahle, with 10 out of 10, Mike, he could have been looking at, he would have been looking at a podium finish almost certainly, and he's putting in a fine performance here to try and pull back some of that time.
Yes, I think almost undoubtedly he would have been chasing the podium and then inspired with the podium chase. Less inspired now when he's surviving for, what, a top 8 possibly.
Johannes Tingesbø on 37. I think Dahle is not going to do him any favours in his quest for the overall World Cup. And Dahle into 6. Lygrid currently lying in 5. So we have 2 positions between Lygrid and Johannes Tingesbø. In terms of points, Johannes Tingesbø will get 36. And Lygrid will get 40. We're expecting at least one more change in the top positions. Giganat could be one of them, certainly could be one of them. Go on. Oh, through that long way wide, a long way wide. There was a real opportunity there for Antonin Giganat. What does that tell you about his personality, Mike?
Well, he's shaking his head. He cannot believe it. He was hesitant. Just, the brain would have flickered. I need to get this one. I can win today. And that thought process, I think that's where the snatch was, or the change of routine. Every biathlete knows it. He knows it. But it's very hard to keep these thoughts out of your mind.
Yeah,
Still shaking his head.
Yeah, it was almost like he didn't mean to let it go, because the gap between the fourth and the fifth was so small compared to the rest, and the rest of the chute was still pretty slick. This is Samuelsson, who is looking for top 5. Last time we saw him, he dropped down into 6th position, 28 off, and he might actually do Lygrid a favour by getting in between Lygrid and Johannes Tingesbø. Krishma has had a good day.
Well, I said top 15. Well, looking at the time, 29. Yes, possibly a top 10, but that may drop when Giganau comes in.
Yeah, we're probably looking, what, 12, 13 at the moment. Last time we saw, he was 45 behind, and he has not lost much more on this last lap. 44.5 the difference, and 10th position for now. Pfeiffer pushed out of the top 10. The world champion Ponsaloma down in 12. Benny Doll, former world champion, pushed down to 13. Top 6. If he wants that, he has got to be less than 36 outside. And it's about 30 seconds from the apex of that hill. Yeah, he's looking a little bit like Jacquelin in the last 50 metres, Mike. The balance has gone, the tempo has gone, and Samuelsson has been dropping down the order all the way through his last lap, but he gets in ahead of Dali and goes 6th for now, 30 seconds off the lead, having come out of the range just 18.4 behind. End of season blues, perhaps?
Oh, it's such a tough season when you look at the 26 point-scoring races they have, and then 8 relays so far. There's more to come. It's a brutal season. So, what, some 36 races, and the big names. Samuelsson is one of those big names, doing them all.
Well, here are the. This is the leaderboard in the finish. 22:07 the leading time, some 51 seconds quicker than last week's winning time. Filmaye, Tadej Bø, Lukas Hoffer. He may well stay there, Mike. That's fantastic news for the Italian team. Really impressive. But Quentin Filmaye, immaculate performance. Shot quickly, shot accurately, and accelerated all the way through that last loop. That was the key to success. He's ended up with an advantage of 11.3 seconds over Tadej Bø. So he denies the Norwegian a second successive win.
I'm delighted for Filmaye, and just the name, he's so consistently good. Well, he's 4th in the world, but he's just lacks in podiums, and it's so often his shooting that lets him down. He's always top 4, top 5 fastest, often the fastest. Reba, he knows what he's capable of. Karlik is a great shot, but it's the first World Cup blues.
I mean, Ian Cloud.
Well, he was brought into Oberhof, 99th position in the sprint race in Oberhof, and then he did 3 races at the World Championships. This is great from Emilian, and remember, Emilian Cloud took the sprint and the pursuit title at the Junior World Championships, so he is on form.
Yeah, he was certainly the star player at the Junior Worlds this year. Only 22 outside. He's got another 2 laps to go. Yeah, if he finishes within a minute of the leaders, he'll get himself a top 20, which at World Cup standard is fantastic. That might be a tall order at the moment. Granichev. It's been a while since Granichev won a World Cup. And
he's had a lot of negativity in the press as well back home. So this may cheer the press up and give him some praise for a change.
Well, not when they look at the split time, Mike. 46 seconds behind without a miss, and that margin's going to have grown to 50. So doesn't matter what he does on the range. He has not got the ski speed to challenge.
No, I think that's going to drop over, what, a minute 25 by the time he crosses the line, which may well put him down into, what, about 28th position, 29th position. At the moment, Scott Gowan, 29th, again, perfect shooting.
Giegner still up in the top 6, looking to go ahead of Samuelsson, a second between those two. Certainly Giegner seems to be skiing a little bit lighter, a little bit sharper than we saw from the Swede. And if he does make top 6, that will put 3 Frenchmen into the top 6 of the order. We've got 4 Norwegians in the top 8 at the moment. Those 2 teams have dominated biathlon on the men's side all season.
Strelchov normally shoots well. He's had 2 outings in sprint competitions this season. He's only missed 1 shot from the 20 fired in this race, and that improves again. Ski speed not quite there.
And Giegner just 30 seconds, or 23 seconds outside. That 1 miss in the stand has cost him a possible win here in Nové Město, but it does put 3 Frenchmen into the top 6, all within 23 seconds of each other. Welcome back to Nové Město. The Italians on a high at the moment. They have Lukas Hofer sitting in 3rd. Giacomel is, well, it's not a bad ski time, to be honest, but that's only 1 of 3 laps. So even with a clear shoot, you're looking at a deficit of around 55 seconds.
So disheartening. The first shot, you line up, you think you're in control, you don't let that shot go. Zingerle looking on was, when he was racing, one of the best, but he hasn't got quite built the discipline into the youngsters. So last week 13th Stromsheim, this week maybe expectations. Last week no expectations, first World Cup, do the best you can. Now today probably thinking about it. Came 12th last week, I want to come 6th or better this week, and I think it affected his shooting. The drive and the explosiveness has deserted him as he works his way to the line. Tired bodies at this time of year. Just looking at the lap times, Patrick, the last lap, the last 3.3 kilometers, have we got a faller? Luckily round. Well, there's the faller. It's a fast corner, 97 taking a tumble there. And that is Streltsov. Yes, Jake Brown, the American, has got the sixth fastest time on the last lap. He did miss 3 targets, so punishing himself on his way around. That's a brilliant time, only 4.7 seconds slower than fastest time.
Yeah, got a lot of potential, and missed 2 more than Sean Doherty, who missed 1. So they have produced more or less the same time. So Brown actually, Mike, the first American for a while whose strength is the skiing. And that's an exciting prospect. If he can get the shooting sorted out, get the percentages up to around 88, 89, he's going to be in the money for plenty of top 10s and maybe even improve on that.
Yes, from the Craftsbury, Vermont area, and they'll be very happy to see that. And of course, he did have his personal best at the World Championships, 12th position. So maybe next year the Americans again can be strong and winning medals here. When the World Championships came here, what was that, 2013?
Yeah, it was Svensson's day. Svensson versus Martin Fourcade on that occasion. On many occasions, to be honest, some brilliant racing. And of course, the whole championships that year, Mike, set up by the fact that the Czechs got a medal in the opening day.
That sparked off the spectators. And in fact, remember, the spectators had to be kind of, when we first came here, oh, please cheer for everybody. It was a partisan crowd, but they got into the spirit of things.
Yeah, this is, of course, the second, I was going to say, the second year in a row, the 3rd World Cup week that Nové Město have hosted World Cups without a single spectator being allowed into the stands. And that damages, well, the spirits and finances, definitely. All credit to them for agreeing to host 2 rounds of the World Cup this year. Take away that miss. Yeah, good, really solid performance. What do you think in terms of future, Mike? He's obviously got a couple of brothers to follow, and of course with Filmayer and Jacquelin, the French team, he's got all the stars that he could possibly want in the team to learn off.
Yes, I think he has everything. He's got the ability. We saw him first World Cup shooting 0-0, lost his way on the last lap, but was in, I think, 17th position as he left the range, looking at the times later when everybody had left the range, so 13th, but he dropped back to 32nd. So just a little more endurance, and I think he'll be challenging for a top 10 next year.
Swanjos missed 3 or 2 last week in the sprint, finished outside the top 100.
You felt he almost gave up on the last shot. I don't know what it was, his spirit. He didn't want to stabilize the rifle any longer or rebreathe, and it's cost him dearly.
Again, the gap between the top 60 is smaller than normal. 34 seconds separating the top 10 at the moment. It was 37 last week. It does seem to be determined by the course and the conditions more than anything else. The consistency of the 2:30 broken over the last 3 weeks. I think we may be looking at sub 2 minutes between 1 and 60, and that is relevant, of course, because all those in the top 60 get to race again on Saturday in the pursuit. Christiansen down in 22, ahead of Benny Vega. I thought Vega was going to have a fantastic season, Mike, after the start we saw in Kontiolahti.
He looked great. His shooting was there. And, well, he has 1 podium, and that was Oberhof mass start. But then he lost his form, sadly for him, as they made, I think he was unwell prior to the World Championships, lost his form, and hasn't come back to the top end again.
Good shooting from Hoffer this week, and last week was okay, not his best. 1-1 in the sprint. He's gone 0-0 today. And Hoffer at 31, getting another podium. That would be very, very welcome. He's had quite a few fourth place finishes this year. The Antolz individual, he'd love to have made the top 3 there, Mike. He definitely would have swapped a third here for a third there. And fourth in Oberhof in the sprint as well.
And today, delighted with his third position. It's likely to stay, isn't it?
Yeah, and
only 14 seconds behind.
Yeah, first time he's shot clear in the sprint this season, and just shows you what he can do.
Rebar, he's not having a happy time, although Hernig is only 21-year-old and missing only one target for your first World Cup race. I think that's impressive.
Benny Vega, the best of the Swiss at the moment, 112 behind.
We've seen Hartwig playing a huge part in the Swiss team's relays, but thankfully they've lightly raced him in other World Cup races. So Zingerle watched Giacomo missing his first shot, but getting all the second, third, fourth, fifth target. I think he'll be expecting and hoping for a 0 here. The time is pretty good coming into the range with that penalty loop. That really 9.6 seconds to the first shot. Incredible. 1-1.
19.6 total time. Jacquelin still with the fastest standing shot, 18.4. That was remarkable. Andy hit 5, by the way. Jacquemold's just got into second place, 19.6. So only 2 men sub 20. Poncelobo 20.4, Gigener 20.6. Gigener, I think, knowing Mike, if it had been 21, 22.6, he would have hit 5, and that could well have seen him into the top 3 today. Jaeger into the finish for Switzerland. We've still got Vega sitting in 26th position, and Jaeger can't improve on that. 1:52, squeezing into the top 50. .216 now, the margin between 1 and 60. Going back to the first shoot, Mike, Gigener, the only late starter to have hit the top 10 in the first shoot. So what conclusion do you draw on the ski speed?
Yes, I do think it's not much has changed, except that you're now digging into tracks which have been well chopped up. So, and I have noticed a lot of the later starters going the long way around on the bends, not taking the race line because it's so chopped up. So definitely a disadvantage for me going later. You can see it there, look at the deep ruts there, and that's just like running in sand. You press deep into the snow, it absorbs a little more of your energy. Margins aren't massive, maybe what, 7 to what, 10 seconds a lap, but it adds up. Good to see the Lithuanian athletes, a 90% hit rate there from Banyis. This is a good result, and a top 60, I think. I saw a start in the pursuit competition. Now, of course, he's on the loop, so that may not be the case. But you can see just dropping outside the top 60, so the chase is on. If he wants to start, the coaches will be giving him all the advice on the way round.
Emilien Jacquelin, or Claude, I should say, Emilien Claude getting all the support that the French can muster, and still looking for what, top 40 for points. I don't think he's going to take any today.
He's not looking as sharp, Patrick, as when we watched him at the Junior World Championships. There's definitely fatigue there, or is it this course profile? It might have been a little easier in Obertilliach.
Yeah, I think when you're leading, you feel different, particularly on that last loop. And in most races, he was certainly involved in a chase for the gold medals.
And the pursuit, he said he had no feeling. His arms, the brain was trying to get everything to move, but he had no feeling in the muscles in his legs or his arms. With what, 800 meters to go, he was being chased by 3 athletes.
So no change now to the top 10. Filmaye gets a win, a rare win in a sprint. He's gone 8 podiums in the sprint without a win. That's a record before he finally gets one today. 22.07 the winning time. Talia Burt, not a solid performance. A first and a second in the last 2 races. He's cementing his position in the top 3 for the season. Filmaye, his main rival, actually. So Filmaye actually closes by a couple of points. In terms of the overall Johannes Tingersbø saved by the fact that Lygrid missed a target, and that pushed Lygrid out of contention for a top 3, having been right up there with the first shoot completed. Lygrid at the moment in 5th, Johannes Tingersbø down in 9, so the gap closes a little bit more. The season rolls on. We have 4 more races to go this year, and of course we've got the pursuit and the mass start here. Then we head to Östersund for the last few races of the year. Actually, it's a mixed relay on Sunday. I thought it was a mass start. It's mixed relays on Sunday. So just one more individual race here on Saturday, which is the pursuit. And then we have a sprint, a pursuit, and a mass start, which is normally the way for the World Cup finals. And instead of being in Oslo, we're going to be in Östersund. World-class stadium there that's hosted the World Championships on many occasions. 2008, 2019.
One of his first World Cup appearances is out after the standing shoot. Streltsov at the finish line, Robin Martin.
Streltsov just missing out on a pursuit race. There may be a couple of athletes behind him who will improve on his position. Just takes the agony away a little bit.
And that fall cost Streltsov dearly. He would have easily made the top 60, taking that fall away. Probably 20 seconds lost in his fall.
Yeah, Hornig, he's got a chance of beating his teammate Andrei Morovitz, who's sitting in 59th at the moment. He must get inside, very, very closely packed in the lower part of the result sheet. But Hornig is going to beat Morovitz. Morovitz now sitting on the fence in position number 60. One more athlete who started after number 99, and we've got Gilles Comel out there who was 50th coming out of the range, so he might be able to just deny Morovitz a start in the pursuit.
Morovitz, I hope we see, and from what I've heard, we will see Morovitz for maybe his final season next year, the Olympic year, and he can spark up again with his brilliant shooting. Didn't go well today, he missed 3, but I think he can still be a contender and player next season.
Yeah, normally Hartwig would be all right for a pursuit start, but the margin's much smaller again today. Morovitz at 2 minutes exactly behind the race winner from France, Quentin Filmaye. And so Hartwig inside the 2:30, but today it needed to be sub 2 minutes.
And last week, 24 athletes within the first minute. This week, and it's this course that allows so many. This week, it's 22 athletes within the first minute of the winning time.
So just a little replay of our winner here. 28-year-old from Saint-Laurent, Quentin Filmaye. perfect shooting, and we've seen him shoot pretty well in the sprint. He shot clear in Contilati early season. He shot clear again in Hogfilson, finished second on that occasion. And since then, this is the first time he's cleared all 10. It has paid off massively. Gierkabel does squeeze into the top 55. Morovitz is out of the pursuit on his home tracks. That will be really disappointing. But Mike, to finish 61st and not have to race on Saturday, or to be finished 60th and start last, which would you go for?
Do you know what? I always wanted to race, but at home, I think Morovitz will be thinking, oh, it's been a terrible day, but he doesn't have to chase the other 59 athletes on Saturday.
Just a couple more athletes to come across the line, but the top 20 positions will not be changed now.
In second, Daniel in third, Lucas Hofer, Emilien Jacquelin in fourth, Sturla Holmberg in fifth, Antonin Gigonard in sixth position, Sebastian Samuels in the seventh, Johannes Dahle eighth, Johannes Stignesbø is ninth, Jakob Fark is 10th at the finish line, 11th Simon Eder, and in 12th position, Michal Drčman. Radosti. Máme samozřejmě dva závodníci v tuto chvíli ještě na trati, chvíli předposledním, který protne cílovou pásku, bude Aleksandr Muchin z Kazachstánu. Cílová rovinka pro Kazacha 79. místo a tím definitivně poslední Linas Banis z Litvy, kde můžeme konstatovat Michal Krčmář 12. místo, Kuba Švrtecký 29. Mikuláš Karlík 34. Vítka Hlavní 50. Ondra Moravec 59. Linas Banis of Lithuania is at the finish line, and that means all the athletes we were waiting for at the finish are at the finish, and this sprint, 10K gentlemen's sprint, is
Well, welcome back to Nové Město. The race just about over. Lukas Hofer of Italy has got himself on the podium for the first time this year. The 8th podium of his career with a rare 0-0 on the range. An impressive last lap. Not the quickest, but definitely top 5 in terms of ski speed. And he couldn't wait to turn around and have a look at the big screen. The third place stands. Tariabo. Well, he's back on the podium. He started 2. He has finished into his 46th podium in his career, and a best performance in a sprint race here. He was 3rd in this race last year.
Yes, I know.
He was only 10.6 behind last week. This week he finishes 11 off the leaders. Don't forget, he went on to win the pursuit. Can he do that again a week later? We will see. He'll have this man to contend with, though. Phil Maillet. 8 times he's finished on the podium in the sprint. This is the first time he's got the win. Excellent shooting this season. The 29-year-old from Saint-Laurent on top of the world, and he secures his place in 4th in the overall World Cup. Yeah, excellent performance by Phil Maillet in the World Championships, incidentally. A good run of results. 6th, 4th, 4th and 3rd in the 4 individual races. Not many people did better than that. He was so consistent. He deserves the win here in Nové Město. In the overall, these are the sprint standings. Johannes Tingesbø, 3.59. Leigrid not far behind. Leigrid clawing a few more points back. And further down the order, Pfeiffer, what did you make of him today, Mike? Down in 13th?
Yeah, just missing that one. Remember, last week we had 3 Germans in the top 14. Today we had the best German in 13th position. So the Germans, I don't know whether possibly skis were not gliding as well, but certainly they weren't as sharp as last week.
Generally, one shot missed more than anyone else. Johannes Tingesbø, the first one went low left, the second one went low right. Then he got his aim in. His prone was poor, 3 out of 5. His stand was immaculate, fast, accurate, got him back in the race. And he has ended up down in 9th position today. There you have the total score in the World Cup. Bø and Leigrid, 9.87 versus 9.62. And from now on, your worst result will be taken away. We'll do some calculations before the pursuit on Saturday to see what Johannes Tinges has to do to secure the Crystal Globe for the 3rd year in a row. Difficult conditions, Mike. I wonder, as we see the athletes pick up their medals. Well done to Lukas Hofer. Delighted to see him. He's been such a good servant for the Italian team, and that will mean a whole lot to him, Mike.
It will, and I hope it opens the in the few races left. Hope it opens the floodgates of more success. We've said it all season. He needs 10, and he'll be on the podium. He achieved that today.
There's no stopping Tadej Bø, hugely respected athlete, 32 years old now. I know he's been around forever. Remember how young he was back in 2011, just 22 when he won the overall World Cup. And lost his form as a result because he worked so hard, hanging on in there to secure the title. This season, he looks as fresh as he did at the start of the 2011 season. And Phil Maillet, at last, he's got himself a sprint win. And the French and the Norwegians taking the bulk of the victories this year, with the odd one going to Sweden as well. Yeah, what a shame there aren't 25,000 fans here, Mike, to cheer him on.
It's such a pity, and it's a wonderful atmosphere in this stadium when the spectators are all lined up. 17 in the stadium and another 6,000 or 7,000 out on the tracks.
making up the top 6. Emilien Jacquelin there in 4th for France. Again, of course, just 22 seconds behind. Good solid start for him. Ligrid has done well, and Guigenat cannot believe what it's like to be in the top 6 and be in the medal celebration. You know, another man, just like Hoffa, Mike, he deserves his success as well.
Oh, and 23 seconds off the lead time, and he missed a shot. Today the penalty loop is between 23 and 25.5 seconds for the best athletes.
Yeah, Ligrid and Guigenat are the only 2 men in the top 6 to miss. They know, had they not missed, and it was Guigenat's last shot that went wide, so Guigenat just missing out on, he could have denied Phil Maillet. Samuelsson 7, Johannes Dahle of Norway in 8. Johannes Tingesbø, the World Cup leader, down in 9, and Jakob Fak of Slovenia, another good run from him, finishing 10.
No.
Well, that's it from Nové Město for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Once again, the bulk of the excitement coming early on, but some fine performances. And Lucas Hoffa really, really impressive. Phil Maillet delighted with the win. We'll be back tomorrow with the women's sprint, and we'll be on air at 4:30 UK time. Hope you can join us for that. For now, though, good evening.